Hi all, happy Saturday, and I am back in the USA, but I decided that I wanted to put together a lot of the footage that I've done over the last couple of weeks while I was in Germany and into the Netherlands to share with you all here on YouTube. So let's get going. If you're new to my channel, I'm Robin McClendon, and please, enjoy this video. I'm a mixed media artist, and I do jelly printing, book art. We do a lot of things here on the channel. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe to continue to join and be a part of the family. Here we are, Frankfurt. I just got in the nick of time, and I was taking an Uber to get to the Messe. It was the first day of the convention, Creative World, where I was demoing the gel plate and representing my book with Schiffer Publisher here with Colorstock, who is the distributor for not only my book, but Jelly Arts plates and so many other amazing quality art products. They are the European distributors for all these products. So it was quite a lot of fun being here at the show. That was my setup. Here is Brandon, another artist, amazing oil painter who is the owner and founder of Chelsea Products. So here we are with Jelly Arts. Their booth was right around the corner from Colorstock. So we had a lot of fun hanging out with the Jelly Arts team and Luann, and we had a great time. So this was a business-to-business event. Most of the clients that come to Creative World are businesses with small shops, bespoke shops all over Europe and Asia, Africa. And so it was quite a lot of fun meeting them. As I was walking around, I came across a number of my favorite vendors and made some connections for us so we can have some really cool things that are hard for us to get here in the United States. And one of them are these Lamali papers and books. These things are absolutely beautiful, and I will be carrying these. They will come into my First Friday sales. Got a lot of ideas for working with these, but they're just beautiful journals to have, and they are so difficult to get in the US. So we're going to have some fun with that product line. Here I am working on back at the booth. What I found was going on a lot was I was not only sharing the gel printing technique with many of the vendors that were there. It's amazing how many stores globally have customers coming in asking about the gel plate but didn't have them. And it's become such a phenomenon that people, these shop owners, want to understand more about the product. So they were there to purchase the product. They really enjoyed not only learning more about it, but my book being available. And because Colorstock is a distributor, many people were putting orders in, of course, for the various size gel plates, the books, to be in the shops together. And I was just demoing a lot and showing a lot of people what they would want to get in terms of sizes. So it was really education for me as well. I learned a lot about what the actual end user at this point, which would be the stores, what they need to learn about this product in order for it to be more available in the stores globally. And probably that's a good reason why many of you just have a hard time finding this product, because the owners of these stores are learning a lot more about it. So it was quite a bit of fun. So all of that because we live. So you kind of get a lot going on in the print, for one pool. So it's a classic model printing process.
And the form is lactic caoutchouc.
With the what?
The form is latex.
Yeah, that was that. On this one here,
The form, the base is latex.
It's actually a gelatin. So it's more gelatin. It's not really latex. It's a gelatin, but it has a little bit of mineral base to it as well. And so then we have. So you see how it allows.
Is it possible to make with this printing pictures from a photo?
There's something called photo transfer, and you can. It's just a technique. Please take a look at the book. This is my book. Yeah, we've already sold thousands of copies in our second printing. So, yes, there's something called photo transfer. So you can take a book page, magazine, photo, high contrast, make a laser print, high contrast, and transfer it. It's one of those techniques that you don't want to start out with. You know, like it's not the easiest to do. It takes really knowing the plate and understanding how much paint to put down. And some paints are better than others. Some don't really work out, some work
Sie können
pretty
auch
well.
Bilder von ihr kaufen, die sie hier gemacht hat, wenn Sie da Interesse daran haben, einfach drauf ansprechen. Ja?
Was it? Wife without picture? They want a picture on this wife puzzle.
Okay.
Is this possible with the scale?
Yeah, you could do it. It's a one, so you have to have a picture for every, you have to have a new picture for every print. Because as soon as you use one, it's gone. But print lasers, yeah, you could do it. So what I would do with that is once we transfer, let's say you're using this. Let's say you transferred your image on here. This is the puzzle. Once you transfer it, I would then flip this over as a stamp. Lay it on top of your puzzle so you can get it right. Press it from the top. And then let it sit. Let it dry. I'm going to let it dry the entire thing because it's going to transfer better. So maybe it stays on for 10-15 minutes. And then you pull it away like this. And then you will get a better transfer if you do it the opposite way.
Okay. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and asking.
Here I am hanging out with Martina. She is one of lovely artists and creative that's been in my community for a very, very long time. So when she heard that I was coming to Frankfurt, she offered to take me around Old Town and show me a lot of things during my down day, the one day I had before I was leaving. This church here is gorgeous. So we walked all around Old Town. What an amazing history and story there is to this. Part of this whole area was bombed out during World War II, and the city committed to rebuilding it as it was using old materials and everything. And then the vendors that went in had to be the same type of stores that were there. If it was a coffee shop or a butcher's or whatever. It's just fascinating. I love churches. To me, churches are like museums. And so when I travel, I always go into old churches as quickly as I look for museums. And I feel like they hold so much, not only the cultural information of the city, but much of the art and everything is wrapped up into it as well. This particular cathedral was just massive, as they all are, but it just always takes my breath away. The height of these cathedrals and the way these coffer ceilings are made, just love it. More like something that was restorative, like health or something, you know? Yeah, I mean, this is amazing ceiling height, golly. I also have a practice when I visit new churches on my travels. I always light the votives for my brother who passed away for, I guess now 10 years. So I always sort of take him with me. Now that I've lost my dad, I have started lighting a second one. So it's just kind of a tradition, but I just love just looking at the architecture.
This little coffee shop with Martina, and it is absolutely adorable.
This is one of the coffee shops that I talked about. This one was around for several hundred years and was completely redone inside. It's just beautiful. And some of the best coffee I've had in a long time. And a really yummy croissant, also almond, delicious. So here we're doing some walking around, heading to the restaurant that we went to for the evening and had traditional German fare. It was just delicious. Had quite a lot of fun. We also took in a few bookstores and vintage shops. I'm always looking for books. So me and Martina were hunting down books, but this particular one, these books were in the tens of thousands. It's just a beautiful shop. But I was just taken away by all of the large, you see these right here? Those are books that are done with vellum, which is like a goat skin. And that was a traditional material that the book covers as well as old pages were made out of, because you could write on it. These are just so many of the books in this collection. And the ones down there were huge. They were over a couple of feet high, just amazing. This collection would be in the tens of thousands, but just beautiful old books. And these brass hand clips there. This is the evening as we were finishing up our day and just walking back to the hotel. I just couldn't resist the night lights and the river there. Just beautiful. What a lovely day. Thank you, Martina. So as I'm leaving, getting ready to prepare to head out, I wanted to show you footage of the hotel room. It was very nice, large, clean, just beautiful. I love that graffiti sort of spray painted lady that was on the wall when I came in. And just really cool. And this place was inside Osted. It was a Malia hotel chain. And the thing that really got me, for all of us Americans who know our hotels, there was a mini bar. And it was completely free. And there were like German beers in there and mineral waters and these yummy orange sort of fizzy drinks and what have you. Oh, so I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool. I was surprised. So there we have it. Now I'm off to the Netherlands. And next shot, well, I'll be in Tessa Magdeburg studio. And we're fast in the middle of the workshop. Some really talented ladies that had been in my community for a good while showed up, and we had a lot of fun. Came from UK and France and Brussels, and Doreen, who's at the end of the table there in the tan top, she was just around the corner. So how lucky is she that workshop was just a few blocks from her home. What happens at these Gelli Labs is I really just focus in on techniques and really help you guys who come hone in on those things that you just, are trying to figure out. So we had a lot of fun. Now I'm taking a tour of Rotterdam with Tessa. We went to an art fair there. It was a yearly one that is done. It's called Art Show in the year 2024. It's in a massive old coffee factory, and all the galleries and stuff come there, and they show a lot of the work of the artists and what have you. So we had gone to that, and then after that we drove around Rotterdam. It wasn't far from the downtown area, so it was really cool. Thought enjoy seeing some of the city if you all have never been. It is a beautiful city, very cosmopolitan, lots of sculpture. Like on the outside, and then they look like boxes, like houses dipped. I love that. This is a faraway view of these yellow houses that are cubes, and they're tilted. And so as I get closer to it, you'll be able to see what they look like. But it was really a fascinating piece of architecture. Right there reminded me of the Centre Pompidou in Paris. They have the red steam and ventilation pipes on the outside of the building. It's a similar center in Rotterdam. But look at these houses. And there are people living in them, obviously not at the tilt like that, but it was just really interesting. And, you know, segueing to a similar shape here on the Mondrian paintings. This was back in the Hague, and it's the Kunstmuseum, which is a famous, you know, museum where so many collections come to. I think this was built in the 20s. It's definitely from that period. But this particular room had probably some of Mondrian's more famous paintings that we're more familiar with. But this museum has the largest collection of Mondrian. So Tessa said they just constantly pull out paintings that, you know, she's never seen before as long as she's lived there and has gone to this museum. So these were his work from the late 30s, early 40s, and that's an earlier piece. But it's just amazing how modern this art is, and yet just amazing. It was also an exhibit with Hilma Klint, and I'll show you towards the end one of her larger rooms of the exhibit. But her art is just amazing, and both her and Mondrian were theosophists in the early 30s, and so the museum was showing the similarity in their work as they progressed, and some of their ideology, more importantly, what was being represented, and why this work was so forward-thinking and so modern in a time where that wasn't necessarily the view of most artists. That, I think, was out of plexiglass. It was a neat piece. Here we are with one of the rooms that had Hilma's work in it. That was the door that opened, and it was sort of like these paintings were designed to be featured in this temple that she had envisioned that was going to be built. They were large paintings. I'd say they were like 4 feet by 6 feet, maybe even 5 by 8. They were really big paintings. And there was a series of 10 of them. And in her will, she had asked that these be shown 20 years after she had passed on because of the vibration and just the spiritual quality of these pieces. They really did move me. I love her work. And this is just an example. I'll definitely be going deeper down the rabbit hole of Hilma's work because I was fascinated by her concepts and her thoughts behind the work that she did. Here we're at Voor Linden, which is another museum. It was a modern museum that was created by a wealthy businessman who had bought this property and had wanted to put a museum on it and really feature, outstanding work. This show is Anselm Kiefer, who is one of my absolute favorite artists. He's a German artist. I fell in love with him years ago at the Venice Biennale, where I stumbled upon his work. And it was this was in the early 2000s, where he had these large leaded books. And being a book artist myself, I was just always taken back by the size of his books, and it influenced me in working large in books, and just love his work. This museum is near the Dutch North Sea coast. It's just beautiful area, beautiful land, and quite modern. There were many, many rooms of his work. It was quite the collection. So these were 2 rooms full of his books. The books, I haven't done a lot of reading up on it, but thematically they had a lot to do with the goddess, with the sacred feminine, and a part of the whole energetic, centers of the cathedrals, and a lot of the energy that happens over those sacred sites. And it seemed like it was this kind of juxtaposition between that and the patriarchal systems, but just really, really neat books. This was another room filled with his installations. And a lot of it had to do with things with wheels, like you see these wheelchairs and the infirmary, but then also the bicycles. So it seemed like they were significant of various modes of transportation, how just in terms of spiritually, emotionally kind of stuff. In the center of all this was a James Turrell room. For those of you who are familiar with his work here in the States, I just couldn't believe there was this James Turrell room. So I had to sit down and get a visual of it. Back out of there, then it came out into this room, and that's a life-size book there. That book is at least, I don't know, almost 6 feet high. Good 5.5 for sure. And so these are prints on paper as well as woodcuts that he had done and then had printed large, and just the scale of his work really brings you in and causes you to look at them. I think about his work the way I think about O'Keeffe. He does things so large, some of the simplest things, it really makes you take a look at things in a way that when you're working smaller, I don't think it really forces you in to look at some of the elements in the same way. This was another installation of his work. This one was called Winterverse, with sort of like a winterland journey. And it had a lot to do, obviously, his work is thematic of the war years and what have you. But I just loved the iconography he was using in there with the mushrooms and what have you. This huge Richard Serra sculpture was in one of the rooms, and it was like a labyrinth, but it just went around and around. It was just amazing, and started getting like a little thinner. I almost felt like I was getting a little claustrophobic. But the energy in it, when you came out the other side, just the energy was, you could just really feel the power of the movement of the energy in this particular formation. So, of course, all the rusted walls, I love that. Just the patterning on the walls themselves. Just kind of why I was doing a close-up. I'm gonna look at that texture. Doesn't that seem like that just would make an amazing gel print? Oh, loved it. And you could go, when you came to the other side, you could go up a series of stairs and then look down on it, and then you could see the shape from above. So it was quite the experience. I had never experienced his sculptures, so it was a bit of a treat for me. You can see we're still going. It's just, I think this is the last turn, and then and here you can see it really got narrow. It really got narrow, but it was really cool. It was very womb-like, I have to say, very much like, and I think the structure was the shape of it is very, womb-like as well when you look down on the top of it, or almost like the inside of a flower petal, like a rose, a tight sort of knot at the top of the rose. This was another sculpture, a swimming pool, and you could look at it from above, and then there were these steps that you went down, and then you went in it and looked up, and it was really neat, the illusion of it all and the feeling of being in there under the water like that was interesting. It definitely was sort of, that feeling you get when it feels like you're underwater and you're looking up underwater, but you're not actually in the water, was that kind of feeling to it all. This is another Anselm Kiefer piece, huge. This thing was like 3 or 4 panels. It had to be 8 feet, maybe 9 feet by 4 feet or 5 feet a panel. Like that's just one panel there. And there's 1, 2, 3 panels put together. A little bit more of the city. Gorgeousness. And just looking at the architecture. That's the other thing I love when I travel. Just driving around the city and observing the architecture. That was a big, huge mall. And then all of the houses, the condos around it, you can see that arch, they were all in the building like that. And then the main area where the larger glass area was like a mall, shops and things like that. Tessa was telling me that that's the Art Academy there in Rotterdam. Here we are on the plane heading back to the States. So heading back to my regular Saturday videos and hanging out with you all. And so I hope you enjoyed this overview of the trip. Please make sure to hit the bell, subscribe, send me some love. I'm sending love to you guys, and Next week, again, we're back in our journals. Love you guys. Bye-bye.